My name's Kenny Jakes. I'm a resident of Livermore Falls, but lifelong resident of the area. Actually, I was born in Chisholm. Not many people remember Chisholm now. Used to be the J. Livermore thing, and I was born in Chisholm, and we moved to J in the early 70s, like a lot of people did from town. And then when I was an adult, I moved to Livermore Falls. I was addicted to old houses. And my grandfather worked in the paper mill. I always told my father that I wouldn't work in the paper mill. And sure enough, I ate some crow and ended up working in the mill. And I worked there for 8 years. And I could see the writing on the wall that things weren't going to be good. And my brother and I had opened a ski shop in '96, and things went well with us in that. And I remember going in to see Mike Luciano and sitting in the human resources office, and I was in a pretty good mood when I went in, and I think he knew what I was there for, and I thanked him for the job and said, I appreciate it. I really needed it at the time, but I don't anymore, and how about the next guy in line takes it? So that was, I forget the year, I was probably 23 when I first went into the mill. It was right around the strike, and you lose track of time. It was 7 or 8 years that I worked in there, and it was a good education for sure. Yeah, so my brother and I started a ski shop, or actually brothers and I started a ski shop, and along came the internet, and our business grew, and he eventually left the mill as well. He was there for, I think 23 years, and somewhere along that line, I decided I wanted to get into restoring old houses, and Livermore Falls is full of old houses, so sold my property in Jay and moved to Livermore Falls, and here I am. And I got involved in town politics and spent several years on the board of selectmen in Livermore Falls, and I've always loved this area anyways. I was born here, I'll die here. And you asked me earlier about stories. Well, I'm full of stories, but what I remember when I was a kid, everybody's property was immaculate. Whether they owned it or rented it, everyone had pride. And you knew everyone. That's not the case anymore on more fronts than one. But I like being here. We're lucky to be here. It's beautiful. I've been able to travel. I like to come home. I wish the properties were in the same condition they were 50 years ago, 45, 50 years ago. I think, I graduated in '84, and quite a few people that I went to school with got in the mill at that time. Then the strike came, and that kind of fragmented people, but that was the beginning of the end for manufacturing around here anyways. Everybody thinks the paper mill, but what about the shoe shops? What about Forster Manufacturing? Wood turning mills, all of those places. So we started losing the middle class jobs. The brain drain came on. People that, that I went to school with. Again, like I said, it was the start of it, but a lot of them went off to school and didn't come back. There weren't salary jobs. There weren't mill jobs anymore. I've been fortunate that I've been able to make my living around here. Not everybody's quite that lucky. This is my second time around selling real estate, but 20 or so years ago, I had my real estate license while I was working in the mill. And then we opened our business, and along came a family, and life got busy, so I let that go. But I still continued with buying old properties and fixing them up. And to go back to what you asked, it's a loss of pride. You don't need to have money to have pride. Soap and water's pretty inexpensive, I think. You can mow your lawn. I don't know what's happened. I have my ideas on things, but you talk about, economic development. I don't believe manufacturing's ever coming back here again. It's not. It just isn't. We're in the Northeast. We're an aging population, and I think for business, it's less expensive for them to do business in southern states. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is the case, and I don't see that coming back. What I see for this area, we're a bedroom community, and the sooner people realize that, I think the better off we're going to be. We're centrally located. Lewiston, Auburn, 45 minutes away. Augusta, 45 minutes away. Farmington, less than a half hour. Skowhegan, Waterville, 45 minutes to an hour away. Homes are affordable here. I was also on the school consolidation committee, and it was quite a battle to combine Jay and Livermore Falls. And here I was, the kid who graduated near the top of the bottom of my class, and I ended up on that consolidation committee, and I believed in it then, and I still believe in it. We had two rapidly declining Class C schools, and people were leaving left and right. It was a tough pill to swallow for some people, and I understand that. But I think we're better off by combining the schools. I think we attract younger families that can't afford to live in Manchester, Reedfield, Turner, Lewiston, Auburn, and I think we're getting a few of those here now. Some don't see it, but I do, and I just opened a real estate office just up the street from here, and I see new people coming. I'm an optimist, and I want to live here till I die. And I'd like to see some more productive members of society move here, and it's a great area. We have Spruce Mountain. We have our own little ski slope here. If not for my mother getting us on the slope in 1970, my life wouldn't be the way it is right now. Again, I think people have a hard time seeing outside the box. When we were kids, there'd be 100 to 200 kids there every day. Now when I bring my son over, we're lucky if there are 2 dozen to 3 dozen over there. We have a lack of people, and most communities would kill to have a little ski area like that. Falmouth, Yarmouth, Freeport, Cumberland, they would love to see something like that. And as far as business goes, I don't see a lot of retail business coming here. In the beginning, I couldn't stand Walmart because Walmart was a small business killer. They're nothing compared to Amazon. And being in the retail business right now, I see it firsthand. You can buy anything you want on Amazon. Well, Amazon doesn't support Main Street businesses. They just don't. And sad but true. And I don't know if we'll be around long enough to see the return of retail. That's just my opinion, but UPS loves Amazon because everybody gets brown boxes put on their porches now, and they're not going to stores anymore. But how many jobs is it creating? It's killing more jobs than it's creating, far more than it's creating. They're creating warehouse jobs, and that's it. It's not creating business owners. And when I was a kid, AYS, Area Youth Sports, there were so many kids that you got cut from teams, and a lot of those coaches were either guys that worked in the mill or local business owners, and those local business owners helped AYS along with whatever, whether it was money, whether it was materials, or what have you, and you don't see that anymore. I've got one son who's 23 years old, and I coached right up through every sport that he did. And then I have another one who's about to turn 13, and he's at the end of his AYS career, if you will. Just in that span of 10 years, we've lost teams because of lack of participation, lack of people. And you don't see those business owners, local leaders giving like they used to, because unfortunately it's, I mean no disrespect by this, but it's like a revolving door of benefits and people in need. I wish we could do more. I don't know if that's possible. I think it's trying to draw young families in here. I really do. Lewiston Auburn's busy. It's Farmington's a bustling place as well. I think it's a bedroom community, and I always brought that forward when I was on the select board. I don't think everyone agreed with me, but for whatever reason, I knew this was coming. I was part of the Downtown Betterment Group. I was one of the original members of it. I'm sure there are more than two, but two of the three of us that started it, their businesses are closed. It's tough. We've got to reinvent. Just like business needs to reinvent itself every 5 or 10 years, I think towns need to do the same. The street that I lived on when I was born was directly across from the Otis. It was Church Street. We lived up behind St. Rose. We lived by the whistle that's out there in the entryway. But it was a different time. I walk every day, and I've been watching them tear the mill down. I walk up the whistle stop trail, and I watched them tear a section of it down a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty sad. I'm going to hate to see the day when the stack and the tower come down, and I think it's probably going to happen. Are we going to be a recreational area? I don't know. I think everyone's trying to, turn it into their town into a recreation area, tourism, or I'm putting my chips on bedroom community. I'll accept anyone that wants to be productive. I don't care where you're from. We weren't from here. Nobody lived here prior to Hugh Chisholm coming through and building mills. It was the river brought people here, and that brought manufacturing. That's gone. We can either sit around and talk about the good old days or look forward. I think the only choice we have is to look forward.